I'm gonna split them.
Ready?
Ready. Now! Woo! I got one! Good work.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to my Ahsoka Episode 3 review video. We are going to be discussing a number of the Easter eggs, references, and things that you might have missed throughout this episode. That there being said, we're going to go ahead and hop right on into it. Of course, I think it should go without saying that yes, there are spoilers ahead for Ahsoka Episode 3. Go check it out. So with that out of the way, and with the exception of Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, which took advantage of their captive audience's streaming attention span, all of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows have suffered from too short episodes that nip their potential in the bud. After a lengthy 2-episode premiere, Ahsoka has immediately fallen into that same trap with Episode 3, which clocks in at only 30 minutes, which seems to be maybe the only downside of this episode is that we don't get more. Other than that though, however, taking a read from Collider.com and their article, I'll have linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well, the short-form storytelling seems to mirror the formula that fans of the Clone Wars or Rebels, the animated shows, are more familiar with. However, these shows always had seasons that spanned 15 to 22 episodes for each season. Shorter episodes within these longer seasons made sense because the stories they sought to tell had time to build across episode arcs. With Ahsoka's 8-episode season 1 run, Dave Filoni does not have time to kind of just mender through the story. The episode opens on the heels of Episode 2, titled Toil and Trouble, with Sabine training with Huyang aboard Ahsoka's ship as they set out to learn more about Thrawn's impending return, and also the potential return of Ezra Bridger. The training sequence is not particularly new or inventive, especially for anyone who's played Star Wars Jedi Challenges or Jedi Fallen Order, but Steph Green, the director of this episode, as well as the previous episode, Episode 2, and has also directed a couple of episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, does an amazing job with Ahsoka Episode 3. The Disney Plus description for Time to Fly mentions that Hera will be tangled with New Republic politics in the episode, and that is about the extent of the moment. Hera takes a meeting with Chancellor Mothma, played by Genevieve O'Reilly, who also plays Mon Mothma in Andor, but I think that the most notable thing is that she is now a Chancellor rather than a Senator, which I quite honestly think is very interesting and big for Star Wars politics, as I had mentioned that in our reaction video for Ahsoka Episode 3 as well as a panel of other senators that are kind of discombobulated on where they really do stand to those regards. They question the New Republic and they question the Empire. They question what they themselves feel that they are doing, and they also find disinterest, though, however, at the same time, to discuss any findings that Hera has to offer for evidence in Thrawn and his return. As I had also mentioned in that reaction video / initial thoughts video for Ahsoka Episode 3, this is a direct reason as of why the New Republic does fall, and that's exactly what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are doing with their narrative, with their storytelling, with the Mandoverse here, showing those flaws, those holes in the New Republic. We do also see Hera using the shipyards on Corellia as like that direct mention of Thrawn that we saw in Episode 2 as well, saying that there is reason to worry for Thrawn's return. There are still Imperial loyalists out there. She of course is attempting to raise an alarm about the Imperial sympathizers that she does discover there, and there are plenty others out there, but the senators are insistent that all of the former Imperials are really true to their oaths of loyalty to the New Republic. Chancellor Mothma seems genuinely alarmed though, however, by Hera's next revelation, which is the theory that Thrawn may still be alive. By the rest of the panel is unimpressed. I doubt they honestly know who Thrawn actually is. The first episode, Master and Apprentice of Ahsoka, made it seem as though that Ahsoka and Hera had never discussed the search for Thrawn or Ezra Bridger in that 10-year span, roughly, over the course of the events of the original trilogy, yet alone have even really saw each other throughout those events. That's about a 10-year gap, roughly. But through this exchange, the senators accuse Hera of trying to acculate New Republic funds for her own personal quest to find Ezra, which is honestly a horrible thing to do. I can sort of see why they may think that, but they're very very wrong about it. Following the meeting, Hera runs into her son Jason Syndulla, played by Evan Whitten, in the hallway, where everyone's favorite murder droid, Chopper, has told him about Sabine's plans to become a Jedi and continue her training with Ahsoka. Jason excitingly proclaims that he also wants to be a Jedi, and if you hadn't caught on, Jason is the son of Hera Syndulla and Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels. Becoming a Jedi for anybody named Jason, though, however, at least in the Star Wars Legends, was never a great choice necessarily. For my fans of Rebels, the animated show, this tiny moment has such a greater meaning, considering Jason's late father Kanan Jarrus was a Jedi, but Ahsoka sidesteps any real mention of him. Instead, Kanan is part of the Kachal family that Hera lost while fighting Thrawn during the war on Lothal. The weight of Hera's wistness smile is lost to the casual viewer, as she sees just a little bit of Kanan in Jason. For the show, lead by a former member of the Jedi Order, and in a period of time where there are very few Jedi actually remaining after the events of the original trilogy, after the events of Return of the Jedi, Ahsoka seems quite fixated on the idea of the Jedi. About the third of the episode attempts to build on the newly introduced plot point in which Sabine's previous Jedi training with Ahsoka right after the events of Star Wars Rebels, and despite the premiere dedicating a decent amount of time to establishing Sabine's Force sensitivity, or that she was even a Jedi, the conflict between her and Ahsoka that arrived from their failed apprenticeship and opening up a new path for her to resume that apprenticeship. I also really have to say that I really enjoy seeing some of that more like actual explanation and exploration, I think, at that of the lure and of the Force sensitivity, saying that as Ahsoka is teaching Sabine to try and tap into the Force just a little bit, and explains to her that really anybody, if they try hard enough or have enough midichlorians, are able to use the Force in some way or another. More powerful than others if you are an actual Jedi with a higher midichlorian count, of course. I want to kind of go in detail and in more depth with this whole idea in a separate feature video here on the channel. The latter half of the episode is where things take flight, as Ahsoka and Sabine discover that their foes are constructing a hyperspace ring named the Eye of Sion that will presumably take them to another galaxy far, far away. The ensuing firefight and space battle I absolutely loved, especially maybe everybody's favorite moment of where we actually see the ship to get taken out, of course, and Ahsoka jumps out onto the wing of the ship in like a blue spacesuit, and it's just taking on these fighters with her lightsaber. This is something that we do actually see in the Clone Wars animated show with her and Anakin Skywalker. So to see this in live action and to see this like with the Ahsoka show was so cool. And after the ship is able to get back on, we see the ship go into the actual orbit of the actual planet Seotis, of where Baylan and Morgan Elsbeth and Shin Hati and their whole team are preparing things. This is where they also run into Purgles, these giant space whales as they are described by the end of the episode essentially. These giant space whales, or Purgles, are what took Thrawn and Ezra Bridger away at the end of Star Wars Rebels into another galaxy, as it was revealed in episode 2. So of course, seeing these creatures again was so amazing, and especially with live action, I'm very fingers crossed that they'll play some type of role in getting them into that other galaxy, of course, as well. They're able to learn a little bit more about the Eye of Sion as Hugh Yang had went on to scan it. It doesn't necessarily seem that they want to dismember it. It seems as though, if for anything, they want to climb aboard on it, like sneak onto it. But as we also see at the end of the episode, Baylan Skoll is now onto them and sending a couple of his troops after them to get rid of them. From there, I'm certain that we'll have plenty of lightsaber action for episode 4. I think that this episode does much with advancing the story forward, giving us insights of like some of the overall lure just that's going on here, like explanations of why certain people are able to use the Force with midichlorians. I don't really feel like this is something that's much explained within canon, or at least within like actual like media. I feel like that we usually commonly will see these kinds of explanations on like novels or in comics. Not just that, with the Force sensitivity of like Sabine Wren and Ahsoka explaining that to her and Hugh Yang, but also with the Purgles being explained here in the show, and then also giving us some new lure here on like the New Republic and their politics, Chancellor Mothma as like a thing now. That is so cool to see. As I had also mentioned in my reaction video here for Ahsoka episode 3, what we saw with the Mandalorian season 3 kind of merely set up a little bit with what we're seeing here already with Ahsoka, this overall show here, into the regards of those Star Wars politics, specifically with the New Republic and that Dr. Pershing episode. It has honestly been so cool. I loved this episode, an easy 10 out of 10 for me. It was action-packed, moved the story forward, it gave us plenty of explanations for many questions throughout Star Wars. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys guys are all thinking. What did you think about Ahsoka episode 3 here? Of course, as I had mentioned throughout this video, I'll have some more in-depth, in more detail, explaining some of the references and Easter eggs that we saw with Ahsoka episode 3. So of course, all the more reason to grab that subscribe button if you haven't already. Just around by this time here as well, we've seen just about all of the footage that's been shown in much of the TV or promoting, and then in the trailers for Ahsoka here as well. So kind of after episode 4, we're really going to be stepping into like new territory here for the Ahsoka show, like things that we've just never seen before, and I'm so excited for it. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.